grandson Carter has finally been able to draw his first Eastern Oregon buck tag, and our grandson Joe drew one as well. We stopped at a petroglyph site on the way to Southeast Oregon. It's on the summit between Silver and Summer Lake. Carter is very interested in what Stone Age man left behind for us to learn about their culture and their needs and wants. We see pictures of what looks to be a wolf and maybe a horse, so that sort of dates it if there's a horse picture. And then a humanoid in the picture. These petroglyphs are a very important source of information. It's a bit of history depicted here. We find out what they were interested in and what they were doing and what was important to them and what wasn't. Just outside the petroglyph site, we see a row of stones which apparently go off to infinity. We debated on what these stones were for, and then we finally came to the conclusion that they were a fence built by homesteaders before wire was introduced there very much, and then the row of boards were on top of the fence to keep their livestock in. Nature has done an excellent job painting the brilliant colors of fall alongside the highway as we move eastward. Next, we come to the steepest grade in the state of Oregon, where the road winds up on top the rim. It's a good long ways up here, and it's almost like you're looking out the window in an aircraft. Steadily, we move on with a great view of the huge desert down below. And then when we get up on top, more desert, only higher elevation. It's somewhere around 7,000 feet. We put our tents up and went to bed that night. The next morning, we get up to see a fresh new blanket of snow on the ground, and the mercury in the thermometer had dropped down to about 18 degrees with a little bit of breeze blowing. But snow this early doesn't last long. So we get up and we're going to drive down to a spot to hunt. An old doe antelope stands at attention and watches us very respectably go by. Some more antelope are there. They're getting pretty bold now that antelope season is closed. And a nice buck with his black shiny horns stands and watches. They're the fastest runner in the Western Hemisphere. Possibly one of the fastest long-distance runners in the world. We go along till we see a little group of sage hens. That's our largest grouse, pecking away and moving out. Even when they know danger, they'll start pecking. I guess they think that we'll think, well, it's a tough old bird and he's not afraid of you. The numbers are quite low on the sage grouse in Oregon. One reason is the ravens lunch up on their young too much, and so they're few in numbers, but I consider the sage grouse to be a symbol of the West. The antelope put on their show of speed for those who might be skeptical about how fast they are, and they have been, for a short burst, clocked at 70 miles an hour, and they can do 35 miles an hour for long, long distances. Ahead of us, just before the antelope came into the picture, we found one of the spots where the sage grouse roosters go to strut. They have a special spot on top of a mountain where there's no grass, and there's one right ahead of us. And they strut in these places during the mating season. What a sight! They display some very fine colors. We're looking for deer, and it looks as if all that practice Carter has been doing with a rifle has paid off. His deadly aim has produced enough meat to do them, the whole family. Carter looks happier than a pig in mud to be bringing home the groceries. Carter's whole family about a year. Joe and I'll give him a hand cleaning the deer out. Now that Carter has these deer, it might be in order for Carter to get loaded up with his grandpa Ben and Julie and head for home to do something that he would love to do, and that's go to school. Joe has an entire week off, so Joe and I'll stay on and see if we can locate another buck. The weather sort of took a turn for the worst, with a thick blanket of snow on, and the temperature is even dipping colder and colder each day. But that shouldn't hurt. But then when we got to hunting, we found that the deer had moved to some other place, and so we hunted and could not find another deer till we were just getting ready to leave, and we saw they were starting to come back. My card on my camera is corrupted, and my camera lens keeps freezing up, and so I'm not doing too well at taking pictures, but it did warm up enough. We went to the old Shoup homestead and got some pictures, and that part worked, although some of the pictures I took didn't show up at all when I went to edit them. But first we came by the old cattle shed, and then a bunch of kraals, and we could see hay kraals out in all the hay fields where they worked so hard putting hay up most all the later summer. The place is in ruins now, and the BLM has taken it over, but they have a sign on the old homestead house: enjoy, but don't destroy your heritage. We passed by the old ranch as we moved along up north. Then we got to the end of where our unit was, and we turned and went back. And so as we go back by, we saw no deer any place around, but the numbers are certainly low on the deer. And we see the sign on the gate, the Shirk Ranch. So we're going to go in and take a look at what used to be a wonderful old ranch. This brings back all sorts of old memories for me of my life growing up on a ranch in Montana. It's perfectly all right to go in this old homestead house. The doors aren't locked, and so we're going to stop here and go in and just take a look around. This has been a wonderful, happy old ranch, and there's lots and lots of buildings. We can see where they've done a lot of things here, and part of this is laying in ruins. There's an old bunkhouse right out front. I'll bet there was some wild yarn spun in that bunkhouse when the crew was there. And we can look out over what was one time the hay fields and still see the old hay corrals. The house was very large. At that time, the hired help would probably stay right on the ranch, live in the bunkhouse, or in some cases, even in a bedroom in the house. And then the wife of the rancher, or sometimes they'd hire a cook, would do the cooking for everyone. And wow, talk about a spread of food. There'd be roast beef and lots of potatoes and gravy, and they'd always make extra gravy for the dogs. So we're going in and take a look. First, we'll look at the old bunkhouse. The walls are probably still echoing with some of the yarns that these cowboys spun about everything, and not only everything, but women as well. None of them had a woman, but they all were experts on it. There's rolls of linoleum that was never put down. For whatever reason, we don't know. They're quite...
With screens over them?
Yeah, kind of a table. I wonder if this could have been the cook shack. Is there?
There's an inkwell. Look at this. Isn't that what that is? An inkwell. For writing pen?
Could be. Could be an inkwell. You put your pies in there to cool. The screen to keep flies off from them.
That might have been the cooking shack.
Yeah, that could have been the cook shack. Here's some chimney. The old woodpeckers have been pecking.
It says enjoy, but do not destroy your American heritage.
Well, let's go in and enjoy then. Screen door. They must have had bugs here. What's the date on the magazine?
It's a wrench magazine.
Oh, I saw one of those at Adele.
1979.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll bet this was, yeah, here was the kitchen. And then you could set the food here and they could open those doors and reach it. Oh, it even had a hot water tank and a sink.
Well, this is kind of a nice old...
This must have been their pantry. Look at all the shelves in there. Wonder how long it'd take Marge to fill all them. The swallow's been there and built a nest.
Canadian whiskey, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like there was a couple of them under the sink.
Oh, and here's where their chimney was. The old cook stove must have sat right here. Oh, it's even got a shower. But I don't see any sign.
I bet it's lead paint, too.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Then the cowboys set in here and told stories about cows. Oh, must have had electricity. There's a light.
Oh yeah.
Looks like there's been rats sitting in the chair relaxing. Yeah, the table's about done. What's that?
This is an old, I think it's a National Geographic or...
Oh yeah. Where's the stairway? Oh, here it is.
Here's an old bedroom.
Can you see in it?
It's locked up. Just barely see in the crack.
There's a chimney that's falling down. Is that a closet? Under the stairs, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You make it all the way up?
Oh, yeah. Lots of sleeping room up here. Boy, look at all the old springs.
'70s.
A fancy rail for the stairway. They must have raised babies here. Nice porch. Oh, here's that room that was locked. Maybe this was a woodshed where boys that didn't behave got taken. Oh, and look at the wood they had here. Some big old poplars, I believe. It looks bigger than that. This wire fence looked like they had turkeys penned in here. Raised turkeys, and then here's the turkey and chicken house apparently. Chicken and turkey house. This may have been a water tank, and it was at one time lined with rock. I don't know what this is here. What kind of room is it, Joe?
Just a bump house room. Just a utility room for keeping things and maintaining the water system and things.
Let's see, could you shine your light in there maybe? I'll be darned. Yeah. And the tank's up above. Yeah, there's some pipe and
Big old valves on it.
shelves. And, oh yeah, valves. Yeah, loose dirt in this. Maybe it was a raised bed garden. You think this is the barn, huh?
Yeah. Some nice big cow bones there.
Yeah.
There's a brake going out for the pickup. And here's the brake shoe off of the pickup. Still good.
Good asbestos, huh? Yeah. Is it new?
Yeah.
They must not ever get around to putting it on. Maybe this was the shed they...
Look at here. There's a water pump. Still turns.
I'll be down a water pump off a car. Yeah. They must have worked on things in here. Oh yeah. Here's a workbench with generators and starters and...
Now look at there. There's a U-joint.
a U-joint, yeah. Bolts on the floor.
Spark plug.
And there's another workbench.
There's some old leather straps even. Look at this.